Hello random YouTube people. So in this video I'm going to show you what I'm going to do is change my single light switch to a double light switch, but instead of having two separate boxes, it's going to be all in one unit. I would prefer to have two separate boxes, one for the fan, one for the light, which is how the rest of my house is set up, but I do not have attic access to this room. If we come up this wall, there's a wire that runs up, but I don't have access to the ceiling to come over to the fan. So what's going to happen is we're going to install a switch that allows us to put a remote control piece up in the head or up in the fan itself, and then it'll have a switch over here that'll remote control the fan and remote control the light as well, so that you can have the fan and the light in a single switch. So that's the option that I've got to resort to because I do not have attic access to this room. It's a bonus room over the garage, and I have no way to get to the roof, and I really don't want to pay someone to come in and rip up the drywall just to attach a fan. First world problems, right? So we're going to install this switch, and I'll show you the switch. So this is what we're going to be using. I picked it up at Home Depot. It's a Hunter brand universal light switch fan control remote thing, and it's going to install right over here, right next to, or right where our existing switch is. And what's unique about these is the only wire that comes off this is a ground wire. The rest of it's all controlled by this little remote, and you wire the different pieces of the fan into the different core or wires here, and inside the box there's also going to be a battery. You can't really see it, but the battery goes in this little slot. It's a little drawer that pops out, and so every once in a while you'll have to replace the battery to get this unit to work, but you'll be able to control the different fan speeds and the light itself all within one switch. And so I'll show you the wiring and how we're going to have to change that up a little bit here at the switch itself. Okay, so with the power off, I've taken the switch out of the wall just by unscrewing it. And you'll see that typically in these switches you have a ground wire and you have two black wires. One is from the fan or the light itself, and one is from the breaker box providing power. So right now we've got black wires being merged together from the ground source and from our power for our light, and then it's coming back into here at the bottom. And then we've got, actually this is the one from the light itself. So we've got the ground powers and they come together. But basically with this switch that we have, there's only one wire, and that's the ground wire. There are no other ports to plug in any of the black wires. So what this requires in the wiring diagram of this switch that we have, this Hunter brand universal remote switch, we actually are going to tie these two black ones together and then put the ground into the switch. So what I'm going to do is take this little wire out and then wire this one straight back into here. And so all these black pieces will be merged together for this. And then the beauty of it happens in the actual wire, or the remote piece. How you wire this up is going to control the light as well as the fan and the fan speeds as well. So usually you wouldn't see the switch have these two combined, but in this case they will be combined. So let's go ahead and do that. Now that I have the switch taken off, I'm going to take the nut out here like we talked about. Remove this wire, it's not necessary anymore. And then we're going to put all three black wires back together in the same wire nut. To put the wire nut on, the nut nice and tight. I'll just push this wire bundle back up into the box here. And then we attach the ground wire to, where's my switch? To this wire right here, and we'll just nut those together and then mount this right into the wall. And that's all we need to do as far as the switch is concerned. Sorry, there's one more thing. You press on this little button here, it opens this drawer, and then you slide in your battery, which comes with, into here. So every once in a while you may have to replace this 2033 battery, or 2032 3-volt battery, and then you just put that up here with the shiny side facing up. Yeah, that side facing up. Then you just push that right back on in there. That's what she said. Now that I have the switch all assembled, we move over to the fan. What we're going to do is, in my past experience doing this in the other room, we're just going to take that little housing at the top that attaches to the ceiling down not actually going to take the ceiling or the fan off the ceiling. That saves a lot of time, but it does make wiring a little bit hard, but it definitely saves a lot of time in the end. On my particular model of fan, there were 2 screws, one on each side, and then the housing just drops straight down. And here's the existing wiring, which we are going to undo all of it because we need to wire in the remote. The important thing to note is during this old solution where the fan and the light were operating on the same switch, both the black and the blue were connecting together from the power line from the switch. So now these are going to be on separate switches, and that's the key thing right here is the fan and the light are on the same switch right now. We're going to break them apart and attach them to the remote, and let's show that. But first we're going to undo all of these nuts and get the wiring basically unwired off and then rewire it with the remote. Okay, here's our remote, and it will eventually sit right up in there where all the cords are. It'll slide right into that little mounting bracket. Now the way this is wired up is the yellow goes to the black from the fan, the blue goes to the blue from the fan, the black here comes from the black from the ceiling or from the light switch wire, and then the white gets grounded, or the common, all the whites go together. So the whites from the ceiling, the white from the fan, and the white from the remote all get wire nutted together. So that's the wiring process for this remote. I should also mention that I left the grounds all together already. There's a ground from the fan, a ground from this mounting bracket, this black mounting bracket, and then the bare copper wire ground from the ceiling. They are all nutted together, and I just left them that way because it's how it needs to be wired. So, okay, that took a little bit of persuasion, but I got it all wired up as I explained, and all the wires have been pushed up into this hole. And the receiver, you can see, just sits on this bracket nice and smooth. Now this is a Hunter universal remote, and I happen to have a Hunter fan, but in theory this is a universal remote that should work with any fan. So if you have a mounting bracket similar to this, the remote should slide right up there and just sit nice and flush. So all we have to do now is put this back on and walk down to the breaker and turn it back on and see if we got it installed. Okay, so if you're a klutz like me, you drop one of the screws into the fan. You can kind of just see it hanging there. I'm going to try this. This is a little magnetic extension tool. I got this when I was replacing my spark plugs, so I could reach down the cylinder and pull out the spark plug. I'm attaching it to this metal screw, hoping that it's long enough to attach to that screw, because I really don't want to take this whole fan apart just because I lost a screw inside. So let's see how I can't believe that it actually worked. So I got this long nail and magnetized it, and I was able to pull that screw out. It took a little bit of time, but wow. All right, so I went down and I turned the breaker on. Let's test this. If I click the light button, let's see. Success, we have a light with no fan. Go ahead and turn that light back off. And let's try the fan. So there's these 3 separate fan settings. Let's go ahead and try the high. And it turned on, and it's spinning pretty good. Can let that speed up for a little bit. Now if I come back here, let's click on the fan low. I don't know if you heard that, but you did hear a noticeable change in the motor sound when you clicked on low. So it is slowing down. And then of course, this is the off button. So if I wanted to leave it on high, but then, during the winter, I don't want the fan on high, but I can just turn the fan off. So there we go. Ability to have the light and the fan in the same switch without having to access your attic by simply putting a little remote unit inside the fan itself. So this ran about $45-ish at Home Depot. And it's a Hunter universal fan remote. So thanks. Well, we got the fan and the light working off of a single switch without having to go up into the attic. I hope you liked this video, and thanks for watching. If you didn't like this video, then as always, feel free to go make your own video.